than 3. But you're definitely not okay if, like, look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and yeah. I think because of that Marauder, you actually came out of that one somewhat okay, even on the exchange. But you're just, in that respect, you're just kind of lucky that he made the mistake of attacking the Marauder with Banelings. I mean, that's not you did good, that's he did bad, and you never want to win because of he did bad scenarios. Knocking down this gold is fine, but knocking down the gold is an opportunity, okay? What I mean by an opportunity is that if we go back, if you take these Marines after the fight with the Banelings, what the heck? So you get up right here, you do the best spread you can, and now if you, instead of moving them wherever it is you're telling them to move, if you A-move up here and then fight the Banelings, right? You do your little spread. The Banelings start fighting. This is a good. You did a decent job of spreading out. You could have done a lot better, and doing that kind of spread is really bad. But then you dissolve your spread. You move them all to this position. I don't know why you did that. That was a big mistake. They're already spread out, and if you just attack a building, a big hatchery like this, they're going to automatically form an auto arc that's 1 Marine thick, and then all the guys that can't reach will be in the back. So then you start grabbing the guys in the back and moving them over here to prepare for the onslaught. So whenever you're attacking a hatchery, you should always attack the hatchery and use the attacking of the hatchery as an auto spread. It's a really cool way to automatically spread your units out so that you don't have to worry about the spread later on. Every time you move units like this, you grab your whole force and say, I want you to move over here, I want you to move over there. They're going to bunch closer and closer together. So you saw they started out quite spread out, then you moved them here and they bunched a little together, and then you moved them here and they bunched even more together. So now you've got your entire army in like 1 splash worth of range. It's also, I would never... Yeah, this is kind of an opportunity thing. You were like, I think I can knock down that gold because he doesn't have an army, and it worked out for you, so I'm not going to criticize too much. But the fact that you were able to knock down that gold is a screw-up on the Zerg's part. That is not something you should be relying on. You should never be out in the middle of the field fighting with 1-1 Marines and no medevacs. Because all those Marines you've lost right now, you've lost 44 Marines. When 2-2 finishes, they were going to be like 25% stronger. And when you get several medevacs floating in the air, that'll make them 10 or 15% stronger than that. So basically, by attacking right now, you're killing off a bunch of units that are okay, that if you'd waited 2 more minutes would have been 40% better than they were when they fought. Mama said the Ming no lam. Those aren't words, buddy. No lunch? Is sleeping time? Yeah, she's right. It is sleeping time. Sorry, buddy. I want to be on your side, but she's right. It's bedtime. Good night. Simon, can you go upstairs? Mama says it's bedtime. So you're still at 14 minutes into the game, not fully saturated. Simon, I'm talking, so if you want to try to sleep while I'm talking, go ahead, but Daddy's not going to stop talking, okay? So you might want to sleep upstairs. Full saturation on 2 bases is going to be like 60 workers, and you should really be hitting 60 workers at about 11 minutes, maybe 12, and it's 14 minutes in and you're still at 45, so there's a big economic problem going on. Also, your first push out, which again you did too early, your first push out wants to be with 4 to 8 medevacs and 2-2 finished. But at the same time as your first push out is when you want to secure this third. So knock down these rocks while you're sitting back and upgrading, and then as you push out, grab the third and throw down some turrets and keep some Marines there in case he tries to bring mutas over to stop you from getting it. Yeah, even though you knock down that gold, you're still quite far behind economically, but you're catching up because he's focusing on military production and you're focusing on SCVs as well as military, because as Terran, we don't really have the option of only focusing on military unless we're crazy. Also, he's piling up his money. So, If this were me in this situation and I was watching a replay of my own game, I would stop watching it and say, wow, I just didn't produce nearly enough workers, and there's very little way to stop a Zerg who's on 4 base with way more workers than you from the very beginning, who's spent this much more money total on his army. I wish they would just add a total where they just add everything up, but he's up 700 here, 3,500 here, and down 2,000 here, so he's up about $2,500 spending on top of having another 1,500 in the bank. So he's pulled 3,000, almost $4,000 more than you out of the ground. So that's just an indication of how screwed you are, and the fact that you haven't actually lost at this point is an indication of how hard it is for the Zerg, even with a huge economic advantage, to really take down a Terran. This kind of drop play at the back of your base is it's not a common thing that Zergs will tend to do. I've seen it, several times, but because you have Marines popping out of all of these racks every 25 minutes, you never have you're never in an empty base, There's always a bunch of stuff that just popped that you can defend with. So it's not really something that Zergs should be doing. It's not a high win percentage strategy. So when you're in a situation like this, you got a bunch of banelings near your Marines. There's no risk of anything important, like there's no pile of SCVs to defend. What I always do is just hop them into the medevacs and hope that the banelings blow up on nothing. Because if you let the Marines fight the banelings like they just did, let's just look. You guys are completely dead even on units lost. This is such a bad spread. I mean, the splash is hitting boom, boom, like that's crazy. So he pulled ahead by 400 just by that one splash. So again, that's just a spreading problem. Luckily for you, he moronically blew up on nothing right there. But yeah, anytime you're caught by surprise, this is why I love having so many medevacs floating overhead. If he catches you by surprise and there's banelings and you're like, whoa, I'm going to get splashed and this is not a good spread, you just hop into the banelings and then hop into the medevacs and tell one of the medevacs to carpet bomb on top of the banelings. And then he's forced to choose, do I let my banelings splash 2 at a time against 1 Marine, which is $150 to kill $50, like a huge loss for the Zerg, or do I try to run my banelings away, in which case the Marines that are carpet bombing out of that medevac get to kill a bunch of banelings, in which case he loses a bunch and kills nothing. So either way, it's bad for him. So whenever there's no mutas floating overhead and you're surprised by banelings, just hop right into the medevacs. This is kind of cute. Oh, we missed. This is bad what you're doing, walking around, moving from place to place, just kind of moving your army, because every time you move your army from up here all the way down here, they bunch